Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 13.
Ooh.
More about that later, I hope. I hope more about that later. Of the Pegasus podcast, a Burch Law production called One of Us Knows What They Are Talking About, and the other one is you. And we have a very special not guest because she is one of us in so many ways. But we decided to introduce you to another team member, our newest team member. In a way, you're kind of in this weird space where there are newer people, but you're in the newest role because you came to us as a law clerk, a part-time law clerk, and we just didn't know how to quit you. Hopefully, that will be reciprocal. So before we get to that, again, I want to introduce you to the hooligans that are always with me, Cyntia, Sam, and Sara. And they aren't selected because they all have this name, but we're now also joined by Sruti, feeling very left out. If I were capable of feeling left out, I would feel left out right now. But as you all know, not you, the audience, but as you, the people who work for me, I want to be left out. So, I very, very much love when things are just happening and being resolved and addressed, and I don't have to interject at all. So, Sruti, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
To Burch Law. You are our newest attorney, fully licensed by the state of Texas, the highest level of achievement that a lawyer can receive, being licensed to do it. And so introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my God.
First, why don't you say your full name and pronounce it for our fans?
All right. My full legal name is Sruti Kuppaswamy Gopalakrishnan. I am from Plano, Texas.
Obviously.
Yeah, graduated from tech. I don't know if I'm like bumping my mic. Sorry about that.
You are.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, graduated from tech last year. Lubbock is a crazy place. Not to, I don't know if I need to slander Lubbock on the podcast.
No, don't slander anything. But let's go ahead. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just totally different from DFW, I guess. Nothing really going on out there. It's just a bunch of 18-year-old tech students drinking.
Yeah. Do they still have the strip?
They do.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Certainly not everybody's listening knows about this, but I'm curious whether Sam, Sara, or Cyntia know about it. Why would you do that? Cyntia just
sorry. I do that.
Since it's in the chat, my cat just vomited.
She did.
How do you expect us to keep it together?
I expect you to be professionals.
Is it for the contrast of this is more interesting information than talking about Lubbock?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Have you been to Lubbock?
Okay.
I'd say this is...
I have been to Lubbock, and so what I'm curious about is whether Sam, Sara, or Cyntia know about the strip in Lubbock.
No
Do you
idea.
know what that is?
Nope, no idea.
I'm
guessing
it's
ours.
Oh my gosh. Sruti, tell us loudly and into the microphone so we all could hear you, but don't bump the microphone. What is the strip in Lubbock?
Are you talking about Broadway, just like the few bars that are on there?
No, see, now you don't know what I'm talking about.
No,
So I don't know if this has changed. So at some point, I don't know if it's still the case, but Lubbock was completely dry, no alcohol in the whole place. So you drive, which is really brilliant when you think about it, that you have to drive really far out. And it's almost like Las Vegas, where all of a sudden you see this strip of neon signs and lights of nothing but alcohol store, liquor store after one another. And so college kids would drive out, emphasizing drive, would drive out there, go get their liquor and everything, hang out there, and then drive back.
Oh.
Is that
No,
not a
there's
thing
alcohol
anymore?
everywhere
Is Lubbock
now.
not dry?
It is very wet. There's alcohol everywhere.
Okay. So you went to Lubbock for law school, which is
I
almost
did.
exclusive to the attorneys at Burch Law. I am the exception currently. That's not where I went to law school, but so far that's where the ones who are still standing attended.
And had a great time, I guess. I learned so much about wills and trusts before I came to this job. I was super well prepared.
These are just bold-faced lies now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you graduate from law school, right? And then why don't we talk about how we met?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So my dad joined Leadership Plano, and he was like, okay, there is a reception coming up. There's going to be some attorneys there. I want you to meet them, network. I needed a job. So I was like, okay, I'll come. And he points out Sam Johnson and Tom Adair and was like, okay, you need to meet these guys. And then I see a lady in a pink power suit and like cool hair. And I was like, oh, what's her deal? And he was like, oh, wait, yeah, she's an attorney too. So then I go over, I was like, all right, target acquired. I'm locked in. So then I approached the Lorie Burch, and we hit it off pretty immediately, I feel. I just got to know what you were up to. Yeah.
Well, I got into the competition with Sam Johnson because, as most events were both Sam and I, who is a fellow attorney colleague, like most events where Sam Johnson and I are at, we were standing next to each other. And we got into this riff off, if it were, about which one of us was a cooler attorney to talk to. And I won. I think what put me over the edge, besides the pink power suit, Sarah has one too, and cool hair. Nothing about Sarah to add there. And
I love the shots being fired today.
but I think what put me over the edge was I told you we had a ping pong table.
Yeah. It was the ping pong table. And I've only played ping pong like 2 times here, so it's kind of false advertising, I'd say.
It's there for everybody, just like the workout room.
Right.
Right? Okay. So you came by just to chit chat, and we did. I would agree that we hit it off. It seemed like a good fit. So you had not passed the bar yet.
Right. At that time, I hadn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, maybe we can work out a little internship thing. So this was last fall. You passed the bar, and we looked around to try and find an experienced attorney, and there was nobody. And then we looked around, and you were still sitting there, and we thought, well,
just sitting.
Just sitting. There's a little bit more nuance to that, but yeah.
Add it, Cyntia. Share. Besides my cat just vomited, why don't you contribute something to this conversation?
It looks a little sad now. It's fine. Hold on. Let's back up a little bit. My favorite part was when one day, her tummy does not hurt, Sam. Quit. No, she's a menace. So I was kind of like, whenever Lorie comes in, she's like, oh, hey, I'm meeting with someone today. I'm like, oh, with who? Like, money-making appointment? What's going on? She's like, no, it's the kid of somebody from Leadership Plano. And I'm like, oh, you agreed? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Weird. Interesting. And then Sruti comes in, and I hear them just, like, laughing. And I hear them, like, I'm like, wow, she actually likes this person. And then later she's like, yeah, but, we need an attorney that's experienced. I'm like, yes. But
in theory,
we need somebody that, we don't have to train, yada, yada, yada. And then it was just like, well, we've hired people with no experience almost exclusively, so let's give it a shot.
Almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Sarah was actually in the middle of graduating when she found us.
Oh.
We even extended the deadline for you to submit your one of your interview rounds to allow you to graduate.
I remember that.
I remember for you, we did a video that you had to record, and I just remember thinking, why is she just in a dark room huddled around a
I had
camera?
bad lighting.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
need to see this video.
But Sarah, you did have lighting, right? Bad or not?
It was bad.
Or did you not? Did you not? We need to. Cyntia, where do we have that? We need to. We need to bring that back. Sam,
No.
we will look for that for your slideshow.
Yes, please.
Purposes.
Oh God.
I need to see this.
Yeah. Anyway, Sruti, back to you. So tell us your initial impressions of what were you looking forward to? What were some expectations? Where did we fail to live up to those expectations? Where did we exceed those expectations? Come on, just tell us. Let's go.
Okay. Like just in general of what I was expecting for a post grad.
Whatever is going to fall out of your mouth, which is pretty much the mantra for this podcast.
Okay. What I was looking for in a job, I didn't want to be like some, cog in some corporate machine of like churning out some kind of documents that I'll never see the end result of like, okay, this company is suing this company for like oil. That was something that I just, I don't know, like I didn't want to be a part of that, which is kind of what I thought I would be more suited towards because my undergrad is, I got a business degree. So I was like, okay, maybe that's just what I'm built to do, I guess. But coming here and seeing how client focused it is, like you literally just interact with clients most of the time. That kind of excited me. Like, yeah.
And that's where we failed you. That's where we did not. That did not live up to expectations. No, we have amazing clients.
I would say one thing that exceeded my expectations is
just one thing.
Like when you're in law school, you know that 70%, I think, of attorneys are alcoholics, and so I come here, and expectations have been exceeded.
As in, like, we're all alcoholics? More than 70%?
Like 100% of attorneys and staff of law firms.
Mm-hmm. The attorneys for sure.
Okay. Well,
the office managers for sure.
Okay.
We don't have an office manager.
Anyway, well, good. Well, great. So did you want to go into like estate planning, wills, trust, probate, business law?
Estate planning, it just wasn't on my radar. Like,
so
I feel like, not that I didn't want to go, I wouldn't say it's a no. It just wasn't
You've been hired, Sruti. You've been here like almost a year
but
now.
I'm like
it's okay.
You've proven that you're capable and useful, so come
on. No, like genuinely, it wasn't even a thought. Like it didn't even occur to me that that was an option that I would consider. Like I was just going down the business route, but like I didn't know anyone who was doing estate planning, like any of my classmates who had graduated before or anything. So it just wasn't really, it was just a class that I had to take because it's on the bar.
So, recently we had Jordan Fox, our beloved case manager. She left the firm to go pursue law school. So we had her on as a final hurrah on the podcast. And I told her something to warn her, as I tell all future law students. But as a former law student, Do you or do you not agree with the following statement? Law students are perhaps the most insufferable human beings.
1,000%.
1,000%.
Fear, the phobia, fear of being included, like, my God. I think being in law school, like, I wouldn't recommend.
That's interesting. We can unpack that offline. But, because attorneys get a bad rap, right? But I think what makes law students so much worse is they have the bravado and ego and superiority complex of all attorneys, but without the license, experience, or degree.
Yep. Especially that first year when they haven't been hazed enough by their professors.
Yeah. They haven't been brought down a notch. How well do you feel that law school prepared you for the actual practice of law now that you're deep into the midst of it? You're meeting with these people called clients. You're doing it.
Yeah.
We're going to forget last week.
Right.
Not the best week when it comes to human beings being kind to Sruti. But with the exception of that, how are you finding it?
I think it definitely prepares you to think on your feet, making sure you're asking questions from different angles, making sure, you're getting all of the information out. I feel like in terms of just the way you're thinking and processing information, for sure it prepares you. Especially, like, nothing is scarier than a cold call with one of your scariest professors. Like, I feel like if you can do that, like, you can talk to a client. Like, I think in that sense it prepares you. But in terms of actually preparing documents and stuff, like substantive, okay, I'm applying this statute I read in one class to this document I'm preparing, you definitely need more hands-on practice. It's not really the theory, and then application is just very different.
Yes. So when it comes to the substantive area of wills, trusts, estate planning, probate, what have been some of the biggest aha or lessons that you've learned?
I mean, it's kind of fulfilling to know the whole process of, like, estate planning. And now I'm learning more probate and stuff, seeing how this actually impacts people's lives, and seeing how it all connects. I got my estate planning done for my parents. That felt really rewarding of, like, okay, they've been taken care of.
Did they give everything to you?
Yeah, of course. I'm their favorite kid. No, my brother gets some.
Well, are you their executor trustee?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see if he gets some, won't we?
Right. Everything will be done legally and properly.
Yes. So what have you learned in regards, though, to, like, the risks of not having any sort of plan in place?
Well, we just see some crazy probate clients come in. I haven't taken on probate clients myself, but just sitting in on Morgan's appointments and stuff, like, my God, some of these people trying to sue each other and, claiming that they're married to their cousins. Like,
you had to go there, didn't you?
I did, because I'm CC'd on all the emails. Like, you just see crazy stuff, and it's like, this would have been way more simple if you even just a will in place.
Yeah. So since you like being put on the spot and thinking on your feet, if I was...
Well, I never said I enjoyed it. I'm just saying I'm prepared to, I guess.
Okay, well, prepare yourself for this. So if we were like friends from high school and we're meeting up again and for dinner, and I said to you, like, why do I need a will? What would you say?
I'd say you don't want a will. You want to be in control of where your money and assets are going. And for me, I wouldn't even go with, oh, you need a will. I would push for a trust, because I wouldn't want my loved ones going to probate court. I think that's just way too much to ask of them when they're already grieving. And so for me, whenever I talk to my friends and family, like, I'm talking about the benefits of a trust. I feel like if you're already spending the money to do a will, you might as well spend a little bit more and do the work so that you're already fulfilling your wishes, but you're also preventing, passing on that work to your loved ones. So I honestly, when I'm talking to my friends and family, I'm talking about trust all the time.
Okay, so I can friend from high school. Then okay, all right, you've convinced me. Why can't I just go online and do it myself? That seems easy.
There's just so many things that can go wrong when you do it online. Like even just the signature, having proper witnesses. People get, relatives to witness, and you can't do that. Some people, like they are, like they're named the executor. They're also notarizing their own documents. Just
You can't do that.
like just some silly things that can be prevented if you just go to a proper firm and do it correctly.
Right. Good. See, look how much she's learned. Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, I think did Sara or Sam have questions for you?
I have 2.
Whoa.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any, Sam, but
I don't.
Sam, do you have any? Well, think of some right now while Sarah's going through hers.
Hey.
go. So my first question I want to know is what have, not necessarily work related, what have we taught you in your time here?
Oh no.
I want to know.
And go person by person, what each person is taught. No, I'm kidding. That's not the question.
And then I want to know who your favorite is. I'm just kidding. Don't say that.
You can say who your favorite is, but more importantly, why don't you just rank everybody?
That would go so well.
Our performance review already happened, so
Yeah, but I have one next quarter, so let me.
You know why? Because they're quarterly.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Interesting answer.
I'm not ranking everyone. Everyone is number 1 in my eyes. I love you all.
Aww.
What did I learn from you guys not work related? I don't know. I learned a lot from Sarah's routine with her dog and how she balances having a full-time job with a dog.
No, that is ridiculous. Hopefully you've learned how to not take care of a dog.
Sarah's a helicopter parent with her dog.
I'm a good pet parent.
You're a helicopter parent with your dog.
It's out of love.
You can admit it. It's okay.
Yeah, like your anxieties just get transferred to Kona.
Yeah.
Is that what you were looking for, Sara?
I'm more so just shocked.
that she would learn anything from you?
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Well, I've also learned that there are 50 Supreme Court justices. That was brand new information. So Sarah's taught me a lot.
That's just cruel. Have we talked about that yet?
I don't think
so. On the podcast.
I asked Sara one day. Now, in fairness, she's the marketing coordinator, which means what, Sara?
Coordinates marketing.
That's right. And so she's the one person in the whole firm that really has nothing to do with any legal work. Doesn't interact with clients, doesn't do any of that. I don't remember why I did this, but I do remember asking Sara if she knew how many Supreme Court justices were on the United States Supreme Court. And with very little hesitation, frankly, she said 50.
Because there's 50 states, and
hold on. Yeah, that's how I try to see you.
It made sense.
I was sitting in Lorie's office across from her desk as Sara was trying to leave, and I'm holding up like 9 fingers, trying not to like let Lorie see. And Sara goes 10. Like, never mind.
And then I jumped at 50.
Yeah,
so
it's closer to 10.
Yeah,
it's closer to 10.
Closer to 10. What else, Sruti, have you learned from your fellow coworkers?
I've learned things about New Zealand from Sam.
What have you learned about New Zealand?
Actually, I don't know. Now that I said that,
I don't know why I nodded because I was like, I don't think we've ever talked about it.
You're so right. I think I just lied.
I think you just panicked.
Just that she's from there.
Yeah.
Right.
You learned that.
That is
and that for Christmas they put
Don't say
bananas
it.
at the end of their beds.
Yes.
Never gonna live that down.
Which may just be an Anderson family tradition, not so much
I think
New
it
Zealand.
is. Yeah.
They should put
Ask-
kiwis at the end of your bed.
Well, I feel like because with bananas you can open them easier, where with like kiwi fruit you have to go and cut them open.
No, I meant the bird.
They're endangered. I don't think that's allowed.
Okay. So you've learned nothing about New Zealand. What's next?
From Marcel, he is keeping me up to date on all things pop culture. I have learned a lot of things about the new Charlie XCX album. Please stream Brat. It's amazing. He told me how he killed a rat.
What?
Pardon?
What?
Maybe edit this out. I don't know if he wants this on the internet.
Like bare hands or like with a trap?
He like killed a desert rat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's different, yeah.
I don't know, Lauren and Gabby, life, just preparing me for life as an adult.
You mean to not trust anybody and to always think they have ulterior motives?
Yes. Keep my
That's what
walls up. Yeah. Include her in the basement. Yeah.
Sarah, what's your second question? Sam, have you come up with any?
One.
Okay, good. Come up
Perfect.
with another one.
All right.
Sarah.
My second question is, how much of law school was like Legally Blonde?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Considering the
know,
fact
like-
that I'm not blonde, it was, I don't know. It is kind of that way in the sense of like, I did the whole reading my textbook on the treadmill. That was fun. I felt
Okay.
really cute doing that.
Nice.
And, kind of unfriendly, like sexist things that happens, I guess. But that comes with any kind of professional setting, I guess.
Not Burch Law, FYI.
Yeah.
Right, not here. Because it's almost like a business, but yeah.
It's like a business.
Business with
Nicole
sparkles.
Marcel, you're like a business.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing professional
Well,
going on here.
actually, what I'll tell you, Sarah, is back to what I said a while ago, is it does, I think, accurately portray how insufferable law students are.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I feel like that's a very accurate representation. And also very accurate that it's not hard to get into Harvard.
I was just going to ask. I was going to say, like, was it hard to get in?
To law school?
Yeah, like, like Elwood's.
Was it hard for you to get into law school, into tech?
It's not the getting in. It's just like
The
doing
staying?
the work to study for the LSAT. Like, I would not wish studying for the LSAT or the bar on anyone. Like, it's just, I hate standardized tests.
Okay. Studying for the bar is 5 trillion times worse than the LSAT.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess it's not the getting in that's hard. It's the staying, the
Okay.
will to live during it all.
Yes, that's very accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Do you have any follow-up questions to your prepared 2 questions, Sarah?
No.
Okay. Sam, what's your question?
It's I guess technically semi-related to Sarah's first one. But what was your like first impression of us?
Ooh.
First
Oh my gosh.
impression.
I'm sure this is so interesting for our listeners.
Curious.
I mean, it's definitely very rare to see such a like casual and friendly environment for a law firm. Especially because I do have one friend who went to an estate planning firm, and it's a bunch of like old white guys, super stuffy, very strict. And so this is just not that. So it was refreshing. And there's a ping pong table. Just exactly as
That,
you
by
want.
the way, also converts into an air hockey table.
Right.
And we have a giant Connect 4.
How
2.
many Connect Fours?
We have 2 of them. Every now
But
and
yes, we
then,
do.
we'll bring
Yeah,
her
it's
putting
cool that
green.
also everyone is like around the same age,
Yeah.
like with the exception.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Kimberly.
Right.
So
You can
this,
keep
I feel like we probably could have done a better job for episode 13, but I actually didn't even realize this was episode 13. But it is important, the number 13, right? Is it important to you, Sruti?
Yeah.
For the sake of my job, yes. I love Taylor
Interesting.
Swift.
For the sake of her job,
I mean,
though,
she knew
so
what it
interesting.
meant.
Didn't want to go tell
That is
her.
not the only significance of 13. Actually, 13 has been my favorite number since I was like 7 years old.
We've known you that long, yes.
Because the OG 13 is Dan Marino. Okay, Sruti, you can give us your final thoughts on really what does, especially in the estate planning probate world, one of us knows what they're talking about and the other one is you, mean to you.
To me, estate planning is securing your legacy and making it easy on your loved ones when when they're going to go through a difficult time. Inevitably, everyone dies. A lot of people don't. Yeah, crazy. People don't want to
vampires.
think about that.
Now, that's something that you know that other people don't
Right.
or don't seem to know.
Yeah.
What do you think in your experience thus far? Because we can talk all day long about how important it is. But as you know, over 70% of people don't have anything. So what do you think is like I'm going to put you on the spot. The number one reason people don't have any plan. And then I will tell you that you're wrong. And it's really this reason, because it is the title of my podcast in the end.
Right.
But what do you think the number one reason is?
Cyntia just put lazy in the chat. I was thinking that, but it's also, I think, just a lot of misconceptions of like, oh yeah, when I die, everything is just going to go to my spouse or my kids or something. It's just a lot of, they don't know the actual consequences of dying.
They don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Sam, what do you think is the number one reason?
I was going to say lack of knowledge. Is that like, I didn't even, until starting here, like estate planning or like a will or a trust just wasn't something I think I ever thought about. So I think.
Well, you're not really our target market, are you?
Yeah, got me there. But it's not, I mean, like you said, they don't know what they don't know. Or they, yeah. So.
Right. So you're just going to copy Sruti's answer, even though
Whoa.
I know deep in your soul, you could rattle off several reasons.
Well, that was the first one I thought of. That was like the very first. But I mean, people get caught up on price, on it being overwhelming, not being on the same
Okay,
page.
now you are taking away options from Sara, so stop talking.
Okay.
All right, pick one. Cost or it being overwhelming?
Overwhelming.
Okay, Sara, why do you think, or what do you think is the number one reason 70% of people or more don't have anything?
I think I know the answer.
I mean, there's you know my answer.
Yes.
Which is
I know
really
your
all I
answer.
want any of you to know, right? But I don't know that there's definitive, like, you know, we've surveyed all these people and here's the actual answer.
Right.
But what do you think is the answer based on what I have taught you?
Am I pretending I don't know what your answer is?
No, I want to hear, because it also shows me how well you listen to me.
Okay. It's procrastination.
So, arguably, the very indelicate way that Cyntia put it, as far as lazy, I think that
that was not something I coined. That was coined by Jordan.
Yes,
if
I
we're
know.
gonna go with something that Cyntia coined,
that was
it's pretty
Jordan.
different.
That was Jordan's answer as to why people will do DIY.
Oh, I know your response to why people do DIY. Can I say that?
What's my response as to why people do DIY?
They're so naive to think that they can do it on their own.
I don't know how successful the podcast that we really have when half the things we say are inside jokes to us.
Hold on, I don't think that that's like necessarily an inside joke. It's factual in a way that most people might not find as nice, but it's factual. People think that they can do it on their own. People think that they know better.
Are you really that naive?
Are you really that naive?
I mean, what I will say is I do mean it.
No.
But it's less in a condescending way and more in a trying to lead you into reality way. Like, are you really that naive to think that you can draft legal documents on your own? Some of our best clients are other lawyers. And some people think that would be counterintuitive, and it's not actually. We'll tell you who the worst kind of clients are. But lawyers really are, because they're like, I know I don't know anything about this. I've got to go to you. And they're, in general, very easy to work with because they get it. They get that they don't know. And yet they went to law school. They had to take a wills and trust course. They may have even gone to Lubbock, Texas Tech, where Sruti didn't take the class from one of the foremost Texas experts on estate planning. But you had the opportunity to, you just didn't. But they have to take these courses and they don't even know. Like, I would never try to advise people, and people who know that I'm a lawyer will do this to me. I don't know if it's happened to you, Sruti, where they will ask you legal questions about things that are just so far removed from what you actually do. And I have to tell them the only time I could have answered that question was perhaps the day of the bar exam, when you will never know more law than you do the days, plural, of the bar exam. And then it all goes out your head. You don't want your estate planning attorney to have to remember all the elements of statute of frauds or a holder in due course or adverse possession, although I do know all those things. But in theory, if you're not me, right? Do you know? So I've taken 2 bar exams because I was out in DC. I took the Maryland bar exam. And then when I moved here, I had to take the Texas bar exam because I hadn't been licensed long enough in Maryland for that to transfer over. So I had the really fun experience of taking 2 bar exams. So after going to law school at the George Washington University School of Law, studying for a bar exam, passing a bar exam, it wasn't until the second time I studied for the bar exam that I finally sort of understood secured transactions. Sarah, what do you think? What do you think secured transactions are?
It sounds like transactions that are secure.
It never disappoints. Never disappoints. But back to Sarah. Yeah, so procrastination, the idea is, and it's actually the biggest challenge, and it's the biggest challenge, Sruti, you've already faced, that you will continue to face in this practice, is, I'll put it this way, because I think it's what brings it home the most, because lazy or procrastination, people will ascribe, different feelings about that. Let's take feelings out of it. What it boils down to is a lack of urgency. And I think, in my experience, because as we already established, I've got a decade or 2 on the majority of people at Burch Law. In my experience, I think cost, time, overwhelm, I feel like all of those, by and large, are probably just excuses. They're probably barriers that people will allow them to put in their way to justify, and this is probably all happening subconsciously for a lot of people, to justify that lack of urgency. Because the number one thing I hear from people when they come in to they're finally getting around to do it is, what is it? It's guilt. It's guilt. All of them are so guilty. oh, we should have done this when the first kid was born, or we've been meaning to do this, or I'm embarrassed to say, or I have an online thing, or this is, this is 30, 40 years old since I did it the first time. There is shame and there is embarrassment. And I would say that's probably the most common emotion that is expressed to us when, no matter who they are, what walk of life. And it's because they know that there is this unknown clock ticking out there. It may be tomorrow, it may be 30, 40 years from now. And that's really hard to feel a sense of urgency there. But I think our job is to really help people overcome those, what I think are, and I mean this in a gentle way, I sincerely do, but those excuses to get through those barriers, but then to help them really understand what happens if you don't get it done, what happens if you don't do it right, and what happens if you don't do it now. And no one's going to be mad at you if you have to update it or change it. Or, hey, isn't it great that I didn't die in my 30s? Now I'm 50 and I made it, and I'm going to get to do this again and change what my plans are. But the fact of the matter is, it's coming for all of us. Right?
Woo.
So that is the distinct job that you find yourself in, Sruti, that all of us at Burch Law find ourselves in. I very, very strongly feel like that is the biggest barrier to people, is just they don't have that lack of urgency. But they need to have it, because as Sruti was pointing out, now that she's seeing it, it's so sad to have to work with these families that are in turmoil, that are fighting with each other, that are overwhelmed, confused, lost. And that's not really, I think, for most people, what they want the final memories of their life to be. And hopefully people out there, we can convince them that they're worthy enough to create a better story for themselves. At least a final chapter. So that is what you have been charged to do, Sruti. One day you'll take over this podcast. No, I'm kidding. But we're glad to have you part of the team. I think, I don't know, Sara is always like the vibe check person, but she only tells us after somebody's left whether she liked them or not. This is your opportunity while somebody is here. Sara, tell her your feelings.
You have excellent vibes. So the vibes are good. And you're doing great.
Thanks.
Sam, do you want to give Sruti your real opinion of her?
Look her in the eye.
I mean, we're friends. I like to think we're friends. I feel like you're a really good fit here. I think you're learning, at least from what I know, you're learning pretty fast. You're doing well with appointments. I feel like you're having a good time. I hope you're having a good time.
I'm having a great time.
Perfect. Even better.
I know that Sam in particular, since she does a lot of intake, really likes to throw things at you. And it's nothing that, besides myself, that no other attorney has ever faced here, where it's like, oh, here's some rando. Let's set him up with a 15-minute call with Sruti in 2 hours. And you've handled it well. And we talk. We'll close the way that we talked earlier, and that is we do quarterly reviews. And what was the number one KPI, key performance indicator, that I gave you, Sruti, between this quarterly review, your first one, to the next one?
I need to become jaded.
Need to become jaded. Yeah.
You got this.
We're well on our way.
There were some people last week that helped her tremendously.
Last week was
in
easy.
that effort. In sincerity, in case anybody's listening who's like, whoa, I don't want to go to a bunch of jaded attorneys. And I will tell you, they're being jaded is probably a higher percentage than alcoholism among attorneys. What I mean from probably a healthier standpoint, is to not personalize or internalize and take personally a lot of the things that happen. I've told the team over and over, we're not party planners. People aren't excited to call us. They are all dealing with either difficult times or difficult decisions. But by and large, we do work very hard on being able to have that professional separation. I lovingly call it being jaded, but that professional separation to where we're not going to internalize the horrible ways that people can treat us. So that's where we're going to get you. All right. Any parting words? Anybody? Sruti?
Thanks for having me on the pod. It's been great.
Is on the pod, in the pod.
Right.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for being part of episode 13 for us. And for the rest of you, join us next time. We'll dive into another exciting, interesting, and entertaining topic on one of us knows what they are talking about, and the other one is you. So long.